discussing a question that we hear quite often in the education and migration industry. We already have a CRM, so why does our team still spend so much time doing manual work? Like most agencies today already have the software. They have CRMs, databases, spreadsheets, communication tools, and tracking systems. Yet many teams still spend hours every day on admin. So today we're going to explore why that happens and what agencies can do about it. Graham, let's start with the current reality of the industry.
I mean, I definitely think in day to day, I completely agree with that agencies do have management tools, but the real question is more about the systems itself because all these systems, do they really actually help teams work more efficiently, or are the various systems just slowing people down in their workflows?
Right. That was exactly a situation. Like we had systems and processes, everything in place, everything looked good on paper, but our team was spending so much time on doing administrative work. Like that's when we started questioning whether the problem was really the lack of software.
Mhm. And I think that question, like a lot of agencies can relate to that. Because like
Yeah,
if you have systems, it doesn't automatically mean you have an organized and clean workflow.
right.
That
I
like
mean,
when agencies talk about like productivity, the conversation usually starts with generating leads. Like everyone wants more inquiries, more students, and more opportunities.
yeah, I mean, that's true from that standpoint, but operationally, when time gets wasted after the leads arrive, because the customers have already shown the interest, but the challenge is managing everything that follows after the onboarding process. You have to
Mhm.
do all sorts of things.
Exactly. Like that includes like collecting documents, following up students, tracking missing information, reviewing SOPs, and checking requirements and updating records. Like in many agencies, information is entered into multiple systems more than once.
I mean, and after these systems have already been inputted, the internal communication between counselors and admin really becomes an issue as well.
Exactly. We realized our biggest problem wasn't attracting those leads or getting those leads into the system. It was more like moving those leads efficiently through the process after those leads have come into our system. When we looked closely, there was more small delays everywhere, like missing documents and repeated follow-ups. They seem so minor, but like at the same time, they consume so much of our time.
Yeah, and these small like minor problems, they eventually just add up and they can be a huge problem to any agency. And another like common reaction agencies have when they hear about a new platform is they always say, "Oh, we already have a CRM."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when a lot of people find out, that's honestly a fair reaction, but that's because most people's platforms tend to make a very similar promise. It's that they'll manage the leads, track students, store information. And honestly, that's a fair reaction because most platforms tend to make a very similar promise to manage leads, track students, store information, and generate reports. But that's honestly,
Yeah, that was our reaction too, Graham, when we first heard about Quantum EduPass. We assumed it was simply just another CRM platform.
So what changed? What made Quantum EduPass different?
I mean, the big difference with Quantum EduPass is it helped us manage the work that happens after the information was already collected. And that's where we started to see a really big distinction because the platform wasn't focused only on the data, but it was focused on the outflow and the reaction from the
Yeah,
customer. I mean,
yes.
yeah, I definitely think agencies often underestimate how much time actually gets spent on the operational tasks that AI could be handling.
Mhm.
Correct.
Partly because those tasks are spread across like different people, right? Multiple people. Like not one person sees the entire process from start to finish. It's always split up.
I mean, yeah, and sometimes in collecting documents and verifying them, seeing that there's missing files and coordinating that with universities can be time wasting and you can never know what it will be like.
Yeah, and on top of that, someone has to communicate everything that they're doing, like every update back to the student. And there's a lot that's happening behind the scenes that the student doesn't really know, you know?
Yeah. When we realized our own operations, we realized counselors were spending a significant portion like doing administrative tasks, like counseling, but rather they should spend more time with students, like advising them in better course correct selection and university selection, or engaging with their parents. But yeah, we spend more time on administration.
I mean, scaling is difficult, but that's why we've come up with this because most agencies try to solve the challenge by hiring new people, and that's an often issue of capacity, and the process becomes more inefficient due to the fact that these processes aren't being handled.
Yeah. So what changed after implementing quantum EduPass?
Well, for us, the biggest improvement was actually visibility. Everyone could clearly see where the student was in process, including the student themselves. Like the workflow becomes much more centralized, it becomes much more transparent, and automated reminders, like reduce a lot of follow-ups. The document requests became much more easier to manage, and teams spent way less time chasing information in different places, and it's much more organized.
Yeah.
So you're saying like the value wasn't like replacing one CRM with another.
Hmm.
Exactly. The value was removing friction from daily operations. And instead of asking people to work harder, we made the workflow itself more efficient. So that was a
Yeah,
huge plus point. Yeah,
exactly. Because when the workflow itself improves, the productivity just improves naturally. It just goes along.
absolutely. Absolutely. Like we weren't saving minutes, we were saving hours every week.
Hmm. Yeah. Also, another concern we hear quite often is the migration side of it.
Mm. Yeah, but in migration, many people assume switching the systems will create a disruption in your work.
We had exactly the same concern, but honestly, migration wasn't the biggest challenge.
What was the biggest challenge?
Like realizing how many inefficient processes we had simply accepted as normal, like chasing documents or junior consultants manually updating those records and jumping from one platform to another. They just assume or kind of believed that this is how it goes. This is how the work feels like.
I mean, and that's a really great point. And that's a really great point because the cost of staying with inefficient workflows is often much higher on you costly than the actual cost of changing the systems itself.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of agencies are kind of scared, you know. Like the
Yeah.
industry is becoming increasingly competitive. Like
Right.
students will always expect faster responses, the families
Mhm.
expect complete transparency. The experience of the student and families, it matters more than ever.
I mean, and hiring new people isn't necessarily going to solve the operational challenges. At some point, the scalability requires a better system with better workflows to work for you.
Exactly. And the point is technology should reduce administrative workload. That's where its values lies. The goal isn't replacing people, but it should focus on what people do best, like helping students, building relationships, and providing better advice.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's the main takeaway from today's discussion.
Yeah, most agencies actually have an issue with their software.
Yeah, they have a workflow problem.
Yeah, and if you solve that workflow problem, it creates opportunities for growth without increasing
Yeah,
staff and headcount.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
and it definitely improves team productivity.
And also students' experience.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
it really shortens the turnaround times, you know, when students look away after like short responses.
Yeah,
And don't you think like ultimately this would just make the business more scalable and work better and more efficiently?
yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Yeah. So like if your team is still spending hours every week chasing documents, like updating statuses and moving information between systems, it may be worth taking a closer look at your workflow.
Yeah, because no one needs just another simple CRM.
Yeah, and also your team deserves a better way to work. Thank you
100%.
for everyone for joining us today.
Thank you for having us, Pachi.
Thank
Thanks.
you. We hope this
Thanks.
discussion has been valuable, and we look
Yeah,
forward to speaking with you again soon.
yes, absolutely.